All right guys, so which pressure washer should you use with our wash kit? Now we have two pressure washers with us today because we usually have a gold standard recommendation, which is the Active 2.0, and we're now gonna compare it to a new budget option that we wanna be able to recommend, but we just need to see how it works out. Now really quick, if you don't already own one, which is probably why you're watching this video, I want you to know that any electric pressure washer rated between 800 and 1800 PSI, maybe even a little bit more, is gonna be totally fine for our kit and for your paint and for the process. This is because any specified max PSI rating is not actually the working pressure, and anywhere between 800 and 1500 PSI is going to be safe. So like an 1800, 2000 PSI cheap pressure washer is not actually getting that amount of pressure. Plus the nozzle that you use, whether it's like a 15 degree or a 40 degree or even a 0, is going to heavily impact the amount of pressure that's actually hitting your paint. And typically you're not working with 10 degrees or lower nozzle, and you're not seeing that pressure or anything close to it. So they're pretty much all safe. Personally, I've had an electric pressure washer that I spent $90 on from Harbor Freight like 7 years ago, and it still works. So with DIY home washing, you don't really have to worry about having something that's serviceable and having something that's gonna last forever, because you're usually not gonna be able to put the amount of hours of runtime that those pumps are rated for just at home. But you do want to have a pressure washer. If you're trying to wash a nice car or any car you care about, not having a pressure washer is a recipe for disaster, because the pressure washer is doing half of the work and speeding up the process significantly. Like with our step 1 wash formula, Hot Lap, it's an advanced cleaning formula. It cleans your wheels, your tires, every bit of dirt and grime on your paint and on your car safely, but it's incredibly strong. And what it does is it has a blend of surfactants and solvents that emulsify with the dirt and grime and oil on your paint as it breaks it down. And this mixture of soap or cleaning formula and grime on your paint is now a sticky substance that needs to be pressure washed off. And that leaves your paint really clean and safe for wiping. Now let's jump into the two pressure washers we have here today for you. We have the Active 2.0 and a new Ryobi 1.8 GPM car washing pressure washer that might rival the Active 2.0. Now the thing with car washing is you want to have a high GPM pressure washer ideally, because that means it's producing more flow. It's pumping more water in gallons per minute onto the panel, which means it's rinsing much faster. A low GPM pressure washer, no matter the pressure rating, is going to take longer to remove all of the product and dirt and grime from your car than a high flow, high GPM pressure washer. This is more rare to find because it's a newer use case in pressure washing, car washing and detailing specifically, but it's becoming more and more popular that Ryobi has put out a high flow pressure washer for half the cost of the Active 2.0. But we want to test this to make sure you're actually getting relatively good performance out of this Ryobi before we recommend it. So we're gonna run through some tests really quick and then talk about the price point and performance. So first thing you noticed was the PSI. The PSI rating of the Active is around 750 on this gauge, but I know that's wrong. I don't know what's going on with this gauge or if I did something wrong. I've seen tests pumping out 1000 PSI and it certainly feels like that. What's most important is that relative to that Active reading, the Ryobi did about 80–90% of the performance. You can absolutely feel the difference. So the Active is going to be better at cleaning and pushing things off your panel, but the Ryobi is pushing out enough pressure to get the job done. I'm guessing it's around 800–900 PSI on a better gauge. I think some other channels have done more extensive testing. This, we're just trying to verify, does it work? So more importantly, what is its GPM rating? So we saw that the mass of the water in the bucket over 1 minute was 1.75 GPM in the Ryobi and 1.96 GPM in the Active, which is what they're rated at, 2 versus 1.8. So that's great. And then the test that really matters is practically, how does it feel and how long does it take to rinse the product off your paint? So you saw that the Active was 30 seconds faster at washing the paint. Now, does that make a difference? It's not gonna save you a whole lot of time. But I will tell you, I felt a big difference when pressure washing. I felt like it was a lot less effort to just target and remove all of the product from the paint with the Active. And now let's talk about cost and which one's best for your budget and why you would go for the expensive one in the first place. So right out of the box, the Active comes with everything you need technically, and it costs about $350 for a new unit. But I want to make some additions here because it is not actually as practical as the Ryobi right out of the box. Right out of the box, the hose is slightly too short to make it around fully around most cars without moving the pressure washer a little bit, which I find very annoying. So you're gonna wanna replace the hose. You can get a 30, 40 foot hose from Amazon for the right diameter. Check that. It's like 30, 40 bucks, and you don't need anything super fancy. And if you do, you get an even better experience. But realistically, it's just a small add-on that I highly recommend. And then the longer gun that comes with the active, it's not as nice to maneuver. It's also going to interfere with your cord getting tangling, which is a problem with the Ryobi as well. But you want something that has a swivel. So I have an active swivel gun. So the trigger on this has a really dramatic action. And I like that. It does feel good when you're working. It's on off rather than just kind of floating and loose. It's very heavy duty. Feels like it could take a beating, and it has a swivel tip. So this quick connects to the cable and then you can, or the hose, and then you can walk back and just more easily rotate the hose so that it unwinds and doesn't get tangled. It's kind of a tight fitment, so it doesn't do a great job at that. But overall, you're gonna want something like this. I think this costs about $70. I'll correct it if I'm wrong. And I would recommend just quick fit connects for everything. So you want it for your garden hose and to the pressure washer, and then the pressure washer to the pressure washer hose, and the hose to the gun. Absolutely 100% necessary with any setup. Do not skimp on that. They're very cheap, so it's not really skimping. You just get them on Amazon. I prefer stainless steel. All right, so now on to the Ryobi. So this is $159 out of the box, and you actually get everything you need, including a stubby gun. And I will say this swivel gun is just not nearly as nice as the active, and this extra little extension. So this is like a bent pressure washing extension for reaching over, a taller roof or into your wheel wells. It's not really that necessary. I don't really use things like that, but for some people that's nice. The reason why this is slightly more functional out of the box is because the hose is long enough to get all the way around the car, which is really smart thinking on Ryobi's part, because most pressure washers don't do that. The only issue is that it gets really tangled, and this doesn't have a swivel connect. So you're gonna wanna get one of those. It's not super expensive, so just add that onto the pile. Overall, the only thing that you really need to add to the Ryobi setup is all of the quick connects and the swivel connect. So really good value there from the Ryobi. Would I recommend it over the active? Here's where it just comes down to price and durability. If you have the extra money, definitely get the active. Maybe in part to their unique 5-piston pump design, it's gonna be a more durable unit, and I have proof of this. I left that unattended near some children, the Active 2.0, and somehow someone turned it on while it wasn't connected to a hose. Therefore, it was dry running. It'll just stay on doing that, trying to generate pressure. I don't know what that mechanism is called, but dry running for about 2 hours. I can almost promise you that Ryobi would have imploded, and the active still runs to this day. It's about 1.5 years, almost 2 years old post that, and it's still good, it's still working. So I think that shows how much more durable the active is, and you might get a much longer life out of it. But to be honest, a lot of these electric pressure washers can last a long time. They all come with warranties that you're gonna wanna use if something goes wrong early. But once you get past that early point, you didn't get a lemon, you're usually gonna be okay for a pretty long time. Now, that's if you're an at-home washer washing a regular amount for a normal person, not a detailer. So the Ryobi is good for most people, but if you want to, follow the buy once, cry once rule, go with the active. That's what I would always use. I appreciate the little extra performance and feel and quality, but the Ryobi is such a good price point for the performance, and I definitely can recommend that to our customers. Get the Ryobi if you're just scared of spending on your first pressure washer.